James adjusted his tie in the dim light of his Chicago apartment, the city's skyline a faint glow through the window. At 30, he'd carved out a solid life as a financial analyst, crunching numbers for a mid-sized investment firm. The work wasn't glamorous, but it paid for a comfortable condo, weekend craft beer tastings, and the occasional splurge on something special, like the trip he'd planned for Emily, his girlfriend of 2 years. Her 27th birthday was approaching, and James wanted it to be unforgettable. Emily was a social media influencer, or at least she was trying to be. With a part-time gig at a boutique and an Instagram feed full of carefully curated posts, she spent most of her time chasing likes and brand deals. James didn't mind her hustle. He found her ambition charming, even if it meant she leaned on him financially. He covered dinners, movie tickets, and weekend getaways, seeing it as part of being a good partner. Emily always seemed grateful, leaving sweet notes or surprising him with coffee runs. To James, it felt like a fair trade, his stability for her spark. But lately, things had been off. Emily had started dropping hints about their lack of excitement. "We're in a rut, James," she'd say, scrolling through her phone while they binged Netflix on his couch. "When was the last time we did something epic?" She wasn't wrong. James had been logging late nights at the office, chasing a promotion that could secure their future. Their dates had dwindled to takeout and reruns, and he could feel her slipping into a quiet frustration. Her words stung, but they lit a fire under him. He decided her birthday was the chance to turn things around. After weeks of research, James settled on Miami, a 5-night escape to a beachfront hotel with ocean views, the kind of place that screamed romance and Instagram gold. The trip cost $5,000, a serious dent in his savings, but he pictured Emily's face lighting up, her laughter mingling with the sound of waves. It wasn't just about the money. It was about proving he could still surprise her, could still be the guy who made her heart race. He booked the flights, reserved a spot at a trendy hotel in South Beach, and added Emily as an authorized user on his credit card, so she could enjoy meals and activities without worrying about cash. "This is our chance to reconnect," he told himself, imagining sunset walks and late-night talks under the stars. When he revealed the surprise, Emily's reaction was everything he'd hoped for. "Miami? Are you serious?" She squealed, practically bouncing in his living room. "This is going to be insane. The beach, the vibes, the photos." She threw her arms around him, her excitement contagious. For the next 2 weeks, she dove into planning, researching rooftop bars, beach clubs, and the best spots for her Instagram grid. James watched her scroll through Pinterest, saving outfit ideas and photo poses, her energy electric. It warmed him, but a small part of him wondered if she was more excited about the content than the time they'd spend together. He pushed the thought aside. This was about them, not her followers. The Monday morning of their trip arrived, and James felt a buzz he hadn't in months. They boarded the flight to Miami, Emily snapping selfies in her airport outfit while James handled the luggage. When they landed, the humid air hit them like a wave, and South Beach welcomed them with its neon glow and pulsing energy. Their hotel was perfect, a sleek, modern spot with a pool overlooking the ocean. That first night, they sipped mojitos at a rooftop bar, the city sparkling below. Emily leaned into him, her hand on his arm. "This is exactly what we needed," she said, her smile soft and genuine. James felt the weight of work lift, replaced by a warmth he hadn't felt in too long. The next day was a blur of sun and laughter. They wandered South Beach, toes in the sand, stealing kisses between bites of fresh ceviche at a beachside cafe. Emily was in her element, posing against palm trees and pastel Art Deco buildings, handing James her phone for just one more shot. He didn't mind playing photographer. Her joy was infectious. They ended the day with a candlelit dinner at a restaurant by the water, sharing a plate of grilled shrimp and a bottle of crisp white wine. Emily reached across the table, squeezing his hand. "You're the best, you know that," she said. For a moment, everything felt right. But by Wednesday, something shifted. It was subtle at first, Emily checking her phone during breakfast, her fingers flying across the screen as she smiled at something James couldn't see. "Just posting some stories," she said when he asked, brushing it off. But the phone stayed glued to her hand, even during their walk along Ocean Drive. That afternoon, she announced she'd found a can't-miss event, a yacht party hosted by a local influencer she followed. "It's a group thing, super exclusive," she said, eyes bright. "Great for networking. You cool if I go solo?" You'd probably find it boring. James hesitated, a knot forming in his gut. He wanted to say no, to insist they stick together, but her excitement made him second-guess himself. Sure, he said, forcing a smile. Have fun. Emily left for the yacht at noon, promising to be back by dinner. James spent the day alone, exploring Miami's windward walls, admiring the vibrant murals while trying to ignore the unease creeping in. He texted her around 5 p.m., suggesting a spot for dinner. No reply. By 8 p.m., still nothing. When she finally strolled into the hotel at 11, she was all smiles, her cheeks flushed from sun or maybe wine. That was amazing, she gushed, barely meeting his eyes. Met so many cool people. We're going to a beach club tomorrow. You don't mind, right? James swallowed his frustration. No problem, he said, but the knot in his gut tightened. Something was off, and he couldn't shake the feeling that this trip, his grand gesture, was slipping out of his control. James woke up Thursday morning to the hum of Miami's ocean breeze, hoping to salvage the spark from their first days. He suggested a low-key plan, breakfast at a local diner, maybe a stroll through a nearby market, just the two of them. Emily, already scrolling her phone over coffee, barely looked up. Actually, I got invited to a beach club with the yacht group, she said, her tone casual but firm. It's a big deal. Some influencers I've been dying to connect with. You'd be bored, James. Why don't you hit the pool or something? Her words landed like a jab, but he nodded, masking his disappointment. Yeah, sure. Go network. She was gone by 10 a.m., leaving James alone with his thoughts and a half-read book by the hotel pool. He tried to focus on the pages, but his mind kept drifting to Emily's sudden distance. The way she'd been glued to her phone, the secretive smiles, the vague excuses, it was starting to add up. He checked his messages again. Nothing. By noon, he sent a text. Having fun? Want to grab dinner later? No response. Hours ticked by, the sun climbing higher, and still no word. James wandered the streets of South Beach, grabbing a Cuban sandwich from a food truck, but the knot in his stomach grew tighter. Was she just caught up in a moment? Or was something else going on? Emily returned to the hotel at 9 p.m., her energy high but her eyes avoiding his. The club was insane, she said, flopping onto the bed, phone in hand. So many connections. This could really take my brand to the next level. James tried to engage. Who'd you meet? Any big names? She waved him off. Just people in the scene. You wouldn't know them. Her fingers danced across her screen, a faint smile flickering as she typed. He caught a glimpse of a name, Carlos, before she tilted the phone away. Work stuff? He asked, keeping his voice light. Just friends, she snapped, sharper than usual, then softened. Sorry, I'm just tired. Long day. She disappeared into the bathroom for a shower, leaving James staring at the ceiling, his unease now a full-blown alarm. Friday morning brought a new plan from Emily. There's a pop-up event in Wynwood tonight, she announced over breakfast, already booking a spot on her phone. Art, music, influencers. It's going to be epic. I need to be there. James pushed back this time. We're here together. Can we do something as a couple? Maybe dinner, just us? Her eyes flashed with irritation. James, this is my career. You knew how important this trip was for my brand. Why are you being so clingy? The word hit hard. Clingy? He'd spent $5,000 to make her happy, and now he was the one suffocating her? He swallowed his hurt. Fine. Go. I'll see you later. She left at 3 p.m., promising to be back by 10. James spent the day alone again, this time at a quiet bar near the hotel, nursing a beer and scrolling through Emily's Instagram. Her stories were a highlight reel of Miami's nightlife. Cocktails, neon lights, and group shots with strangers, her smile brighter than it had been with him all week. One story showed her laughing with a guy, tall, tanned with a slick grin, his arms slung casually around her shoulders. The caption read, "Vibes on point." James's chest tightened. He called her at 10:30, straight to voicemail. By midnight, still nothing. He texted, "You okay? Where are you?" No reply. At 2 a.m., his phone buzzed with a message. "Hey, got caught up with a group. Staying out late. Don't wait up." The casual tone felt like a slap. 9 hours gone, no explanation, just a dismissal. James stared at the text, his mind racing. Was she networking, or was this something else? He thought back to her secrecy, the name Carlos, the way she'd been pulling away. He tried calling again, Voicemail. By 3 a.m. He was pacing the hotel room, anger mixing with worry. Had something happened, or was she choosing to ghost him in the middle of their trip? Saturday, their last full day, started with a fragile hope. James suggested a final romantic evening. Dinner at a rooftop restaurant, a chance to end the trip on a high note. Emily, sipping coffee, barely acknowledged him. I found this amazing boat tour today, she said, eyes on her phone. It's with the same crew from the yacht. They go to these hidden coves, perfect for photos. I'm going solo again. You'd hate the crowd. James's patience snapped. Emily, this is our trip. I planned it for us, not for you to ditch me every day. She rolled her eyes. Don't make this a thing, James. I'm just making the most of Miami. You should too. She grabbed her bag and left, promising to be back by 7 p.m. for dinner. 7 came and went. By 9 p.m., James was alone at the restaurant, the table set for two, his calls unanswered. At 10:15, his phone lit up with a text that stopped his heart. James, I met someone special on the tour. His name's Carlos. I'm staying in Miami with him. Don't wait for me. The words burned into him. She wasn't lost or delayed. She'd been planning this. The trip he'd poured his savings into, the romantic gesture meant to save their relationship, had become her launch pad for a new fling. James sat frozen, the hum of the restaurant fading as betrayal sank in. She'd used his money, his trust, to chase someone else. And now she was gone. James stared at the text from Emily, his phone screen glowing in the dim light of the Miami restaurant. James, I met someone special on the tour. His name's Carlos. I'm staying in Miami with him. Don't wait for me. Each word was a knife, slicing through 2 years of shared moments, late-night talks, and the $5,000 he'd spent to make her happy. He reread it, hoping it was a mistake, but the message stayed cold and clear. She turned his romantic getaway into a springboard for a new life, funded by his credit card. The waiter hovered nearby, asking if he wanted to order. James shook his head, paid for the untouched wine, and left the rooftop restaurant, the Miami skyline blurring as his anger surged. Back at the hotel, he paced the room, replaying every moment of the trip. The secretive smiles, the dodge calls, the way Emily had slipped away day after day. It all made sense now. Carlos wasn't just a name on her phone. He was the reason she'd been so distant, the reason she ditched James for networking events. She'd been auditioning a new boyfriend while James played the clueless financier. He checked his phone again. No follow-up, no apology, just silence. He called her, straight to voicemail. Another text. Emily, are you serious? Call me. Nothing. By 1 a.m., his shock hardened into resolve. If she wanted to chase this fling, she could do it without his money. James grabbed his laptop and logged into his bank account. His credit card statement showed charges piling up, $200 at a beach club, $150 at a Trinity bar, $300 at a boutique. All on his card, all while Emily was weaving her new romance. He called the bank, his voice steady despite the rage bubbling inside. I need to remove an authorized user, effective immediately, he told the representative. Within minutes, Emily's access to his credit card was cut off. Every swipe she tried now would be declined. Next, he contacted the airline. Canceling her return flight cost him a $200 fee, but it felt like a bargain compared to subsidizing her betrayal. She's on her own, he muttered, shutting the laptop. Sleep didn't come that night. James sat on the balcony, the ocean's rhythm doing little to calm him. He thought about their 2 years together, how he'd covered her bills, cheered her ambitions, planned this trip to rekindle their spark. And she'd repaid him with a text, discarding him like a used ticket stub. The audacity burned. By dawn, he was done feeling sorry for himself. He packed his bags, leaving Emily's scattered belongings untouched. At checkout, he handed her suitcase to the front desk with a note. Emily will pick this up when she's ready. The clerk nodded, no questions asked, as if this wasn't the first time a guest had left a partner's luggage behind. Sunday morning, James's phone stayed silent. No word from Emily, no hint of regret. He boarded a ferry to Key Biscayne, hoping a change of scenery would clear his head. The turquoise water and swaying palms were a stark contrast to the storm in his chest. He tried to focus on the horizon, but his mind kept circling back to her message. Someone special. The phrase mocked him. Who was this Carlos? Some smooth-talking local who'd seen an easy mark in a tourist with a credit card? James texted a friend back in Chicago, venting the basics. The reply came fast. Dude, that's brutal. Get out of there. She's not worth it. By afternoon, James was back at the hotel, finalizing checkout. The clerk mentioned a call from Emily, asking about her luggage. She sounded upset, he said. James shrugged. She's had other plans. He headed to the airport, the weight of the trip lifting slightly with each step. On the flight home, he stared out the window, the clouds a blank canvas for his thoughts. He dodged a bullet. Better to lose $5,000 now than a lifetime with someone who could discard him so easily. But the sting lingered. Betrayal wasn't just about the money. Monday morning, back in Chicago, his phone lit up with notifications. Emily had finally realized her cards were dead. James, what's wrong with the card? I can't pay for anything. Then, an hour later, did you cancel my flight? I'm stuck here. Call me now. Her tone shifted from confusion to panic. By noon, she was calling nonstop, leaving voicemails that swung between tears and accusations. This is cruel, James. You can't just strand me in Miami. He let them pile up, unanswered. She'd made her choice. He was done cleaning up her messes. Around 3 p.m., he picked up one of her calls, his voice calm but firm. Emily, you left me for some guy you met on a boat. You used my money to fund your little adventure. I'm not stranding you. You stranded yourself. She sobbed, her words a jumble of excuses. It's not like that. He's different. I just needed to explore this. You can't cut me off like this. James cut in. You don't get to rewrite the story. You chose him. Figure it out. He hung up, her cries echoing in his head, but not his heart. For the first time in days, he felt a flicker of control. James leaned back in his Chicago office chair, the hum of the city outside a faint reminder of normalcy. It was Tuesday, his first full day back from Miami, and the weight of Emily's betrayal still clung to him like humidity. His phone buzzed relentlessly, Emily's voicemails and texts piling up, each one more frantic than the last. James, I'm stuck in Miami. The hotel won't release my luggage without payment. You can't do this to me. Another. Carlos isn't helping. I don't know what to do. He ignored them, focusing on spreadsheets, letting the numbers ground him. She'd made her bed. He wasn't her safety net anymore. By Wednesday, the messages took a sharper tone. You're heartless, James. This is revenge, and it's disgusting. He almost laughed at the irony. She'd ditched him mid-vacation for a stranger, used his credit card to fund her fling, and he was the villain? He deleted the voicemails without listening to the rest. His coworkers noticed his quiet focus, one asking if he was okay. Just jet lag, he lied, not ready to unpack the story. But the truth was, cutting Emily off, canceling her flight and card access, felt like reclaiming a piece of himself. He'd spent $5,000 to make her happy, only for her to treat him like a stepping stone. Back in Miami, Emily was unraveling. Carlos, the special someone from the boat tour, had seemed like a dream at first. A local DJ with a charming smile and a knack for making her feel like the center of the universe. They danced under neon lights, shared cocktails at exclusive clubs, and posted stories that screamed adventure. But when Emily's card was declined at a beachfront cafe, Carlos's vibe shifted. I thought you had this handled, he said, his tone clipped. She tried to laugh it off, blaming a bank glitch, but the next day when she suggested extending her stay, he balked. I'm not set up to cover you, Em, he said, already scrolling his phone for the next party. By Thursday, Carlos was gone, leaving her with a $200 hotel bill and a suitcase she couldn't retrieve. Emily's calls to James grew desperate. I don't speak Spanish, James. I can't afford a flight home. You're leaving me stranded in a foreign city. He finally texted back. You left me first. You chose Carlos. Asked him for help. Her response was a flood of apologies and excuses. I got caught up in the moment. I didn't mean to hurt you. Please, I need your help. James didn't reply. He'd heard enough. She'd used his money to chase a fantasy, and now reality was catching up. By Friday, Emily turned to her sister, Claire, in Chicago. Over a tearful call, she admitted the truth, meeting Carlos, ditching James, and assuming her charm would carry her through. Claire was blunt. You screwed over a good guy, Em. Don't expect him to bail you out. Reluctantly, Claire wired $600 for a flight home, but not before laying into her. You're 27, not 17. On your mess. Emily booked the cheapest red-eye back to Chicago, her Instagram silent for the first time in months. The hotel released her luggage after Claire paid the outstanding balance, a humiliating transaction that left Emily sobbing in a Miami airport terminal. James, meanwhile, was piecing himself back together. He met a friend for drinks after work, finally spilling the story. "She texted me she's staying with some guy named Carlos, like I'm just her travel agent," he said, shaking his head. His friend winced. "That's cold. But you dodged a bullet, man. Imagine marrying that." The words hit home. James had pictured a future with Emily, kids, a house, shared dreams. Now, he saw her for who she was, someone who'd trade loyalty for a fleeting thrill. It hurt, but it was clarity he hadn't had before. Social media started buzzing by Saturday. Mutual friends, unaware of the full story, posted vague comments about drama in Miami. One messaged James directly, "Heard Emily's back and telling everyone you stranded her. What's the deal?" He replied with a screenshot of her text about Carlos, letting the truth speak for itself. The story spread, and Emily's carefully curated image took a hit. Her followers noticed her absence, some unfollowing when she stopped posting her usual glamorous content. A few friends reached out to James, offering support. "She's spinning it like you're the bad guy," one said. "But we know what's up." Emily landed in Chicago late Saturday, her ego bruised as much as her bank account. She crashed at Claire's apartment, avoiding mutual friends who'd heard the rumors. She tried texting James one last time. "I'm sorry, okay? Can we talk? I messed up." He read it, but didn't respond. Her apology felt like damage control, not remorse. He blocked her number, ready to close the chapter. The $5,000 loss stung, but it was a small price to pay for seeing her true colors before things got serious. James sat at his desk in Chicago, the Monday morning bustle of the investment firm a steady rhythm against the chaos of the past week. His phone, now free of Emily's frantic messages, felt lighter, like a burden lifted. The $5,000 he'd spent on their Miami trip still stung, but the clarity it bought was worth more. Emily's betrayal, ditching him for a fling with Carlos while he footed the bill, had exposed her true character. At 30, James wasn't naive enough to think love was flawless, but he'd learned one thing. Trust wasn't a blank check. Emily, back in Chicago, was grappling with the fallout. Holed up at her sister Claire's apartment, she faced a reality check. Her Instagram, once a polished showcase of beach vibes and influencer dreams, had gone dark. Her followers, used to daily posts, were dropping off, some because of her silence, others after hearing whispers of her Miami stunt. Mutual friends, now in the loop, weren't kind. One texted her, "You really threw James under the bus for a random DJ? Cold." Another unfollowed her after seeing James's screenshot of her infamous text, "I'm staying in Miami with him." Public opinion was clear. Emily's charm couldn't spin this one. She tried reaching out to Carlos, hoping to salvage the spark that had felt so electric in Miami. But his responses were curt, his interest fading once her credit card stopped working. "Got a gig in Tampa," he texted, dodging her pleas to meet up. By Tuesday, he'd blocked her, leaving Emily to face the truth. Her special someone was just a fleeting thrill, not a savior. She spent hours scrolling through her own posts, the Miami photos now mocking her, a curated lie of a life she couldn't sustain. Claire, fed up with her sister's self-pity, laid it out. "You used James, Em. You don't get to play victim when it blows up." James, meanwhile, was rebuilding. He threw himself into work, nailing a client pitch that earned him a nod from his boss, a step closer to the promotion he'd been chasing. After hours, he started running again, the lakefront trail clearing his head with every stride. A friend invited him to a cooking class, something Emily would have scoffed at as boring. He went, chopping onions and laughing with strangers, feeling a spark of joy he hadn't in months. It wasn't about replacing her. It was about rediscovering himself without her shadow. By Wednesday, word reached James that Emily had tried spinning the story at a mutual friend's happy hour. James overreacted, she claimed, painting herself as a free spirit caught in a misunderstanding. But the truth had already spread. A friend showed her the same screenshot James had shared, and her excuses fell flat. "You can't rewrite dumping your boyfriend for a stranger," the friend said, cutting her off. Emily left early, her usual confidence crumbling. Her social circle, once a safety net, was shrinking fast. James got one final text from Emily on Thursday. "I know I hurt you. I was stupid. Can we meet? I just want to explain. He stared at it, tempted to ignore it, but curiosity won. He agreed to coffee, picking a neutral spot near his office. When they met, Emily looked drained, her usual polish replaced by nervous fidgeting. I got caught up in a moment, she said, avoiding his eyes. Carlos made me feel alive, but it was a mistake. I didn't mean to use you. James listened, sipping his coffee, unmoved. You didn't just use my money, Em. You used my trust. That's not a moment. That's a choice. She teared up, but he didn't soften. I'm not your fallback plan, he said, standing to leave. Good luck. That conversation was closure. James blocked her number for good, deleting their shared photos from his phone. The memories of Miami, sunset dinners, her laughter, were tainted, but they didn't define him. He started journaling, a habit he'd picked up to process the betrayal. One entry read, "She showed me who she was. I showed myself who I can be." He didn't hate her. He just didn't need her anymore. A week later, a coworker invited James to a group hike outside Chicago. He said yes, craving new experiences. On the trail, he met a graphic designer named Mia, who shared his dry humor and love for bad puns. They swapped stories, hers about a failed art project, his about dodging a bullet in Miami. No pressure, no expectations, just a connection that felt easy. It wasn't love, not yet, but it was a reminder that life went on. Emily, meanwhile, faced her own reckoning. Claire pushed her to get a full-time job, tired of covering her rent. She landed a retail gig, but the influencer dream was fading, brands weren't biting, and her follower count kept slipping. Friends distanced themselves, unwilling to endorse her choices. She posted a vague apology on Instagram, something about learning from mistakes, but it got little traction. The life she'd chased in Miami had collapsed, leaving her to rebuild from scratch. James reflected on it all one evening, running along the lakefront. The $5,000 was gone, but it had bought him freedom from a future with someone who'd discard him for a fleeting high. He'd trusted too blindly, ignored red flags, but he wouldn't again. The moral wasn't revenge, it was accountability. Emily's actions had consequences, and so did his. He'd chosen to walk away, to protect his peace. As the skyline glowed against the dusk, he felt lighter, ready for whatever came next.